Good afternoon, everyone. We're for day 4 or 5 of 60 Day for this Summer challenge. If you just find this video by coincidence, my name is Sonja Wood. I offer a summer masterclass every day for 60 days through the summer 2025, talking about relationships, conflict in relationships, either family, friendships, working environments, and we're analyzing some situations. We're trying to broaden our perspective and trying to get more emotional management in place. So those videos are totally free. The challenge is completely free and accessible for everybody. You just have to sign up in a group. So I want to address something today about a paradox that I observed in relationship. I was thinking about what makes relationship work, what makes two people really connect, what makes a friendship, a family relationship, a working relationship, what makes it click and work. And then I realized that we actually think of relationship as soon as there is at least two people. There is a relationship with ourselves, of course, but in my context, I'm talking about interpersonal relationships a lot. So at least two people. And we get to think about relationship as the dynamic when two people connect together. And yet, just because we think of two people together, we think of people. When we have a problem with someone, we think of the other person. We think of the other people that cause problem, that they create the situation. And so what tends to happen, and what I see in mediation a lot, is when there is in a relationship a difficult situation, a sensitive talk, or a conflict, the look goes outward, goes to the other person. But what I see, and what I came to realize, is that actually it's a lot more useful to see the relationship by considering yourself first, being of service to others. And so what that means is if something goes wrong in a relationship, if there is an argument, if there is a dispute, if there is a problem, then going inward first, what does that mirror? What does that reflect? What does that trigger in me? Where do I have to look at? And then wanting to be of service to the relationship. And so that's a paradox. We think of relationship as two or more people. But actually, what makes a relationship work is the work you do on yourself first. Is how good you're managing your emotions, how good you're able to reflect, how good you're able to manage the trigger. And so I think it's interesting to consider when we think about other people, not what the other people do, not what they say to us, not what they do to us or didn't do or didn't say, but if they act a certain way, what does that reflect to me? What does that trigger in me? What feelings are coming up? What thoughts are coming up? Am I doing some interpretation of their action? And so when I'm able to really get into the level of the emotional management, to lead myself through the discomfort, through the disappointment, through the sadness, through the anger, when I'm able to lead myself through that, which actually means I'm doing inner work on me before addressing anything outside of me, then I'm able to build a relationship in the best way. Because I'm not going to blame. I'm not going to make any reproach. I'm not going to criticize. I'm not going to judge. If I take the situation as a moment in time where I can just use that as a tool to reflect on me, that shows the flows, that shows where I still need to strengthen my emotional maturity, my emotional management. I need to strengthen my resilience, my leadership. If I use it as a tool for that, then I don't need to point out the finger to someone else to make them see what they did, what they said was wrong, because I use it as a tool for me, and then the communication that comes after is another thing. But handling the really the time, the moment where in the relationship there is kind of a gap that comes, the fracture that comes because of a disagreement, an argument or something, that's where you look inward. Then of course you communicate outward, you communicate to other person, you have real conversation, you have to have the conversation. But a lot of people try a little backward. They try to talk what's going on, they try to express what's going on, but they kind of express without having time, or without taking the time to retreat inward and look at what's going on inward. And so everything that comes is like words vomit, that because there is no filter, everything comes out, all the feelings, all the thoughts, everything. And that's when you have things like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, I'm sorry, I don't know what I said, that I was so mad, because you don't take the time to look inward, reflect what's going on, filter what needs to be expressed and what needs to be reflected on by you, on your own, and then everything comes out. So that's where the paradox lies. That's where the paradox of a balanced relationship lies, where the first thing is working on yourself. Working, quote, is the first step, is really looking inward, reflecting every interaction. When you feel upset, when you feel annoyed, why does that trigger something? What is to look at here? And then dive deeper into it, look at it. If I get upset when someone tells me, oh, you remind me of your parents, or you remind me of my mother, you remind me of your father, why does that upset you? What feelings, what thoughts comes with it? What association comes with it? And if you're in a working environment where you have a micromanager as a boss, why does that trigger you? Why does that make you upset and annoyed? And why is that a conflict here? And then you look inward first, you filter through, and what needs to be said will be said at some point. But that's the paradox. We think of relationship as people. I need to talk to the people first, where actually you need to talk to yourself first. And so even if a relationship happens with 2 or more people, the most important is the talk you got to yourself first. So that's my invitation is this one. Whenever you you're becoming annoyed, you're upset against someone because someone did something, said something, because you get just frustrated, you get disappointed by someone else's action, I would invite you to look inward first, without thinking first what you have to say. What do you have to say something? Should you have a talk? How to say this? Because then you get in your mind, you get in your head, and you're gonna try to figure out how to say things when you don't even know yet what to say. So if it helps, write it down, journal it, or contemplate, reflect on it by walking, by running, by doing your workout, whatever, swimming, but contemplate what's going on inside when those feelings arise. Let it sit if needed for a couple hours, maybe a day or two, and then see a couple days later, do you still want to say to that person everything that you are writing here? Most likely you're not gonna want to. most likely 2 days later you want to be more specific about the one thing that was really annoying. But it's how we start emotional maturity, because we filter ourselves what has a purpose to be discussed and what is not necessary to discuss, because it's our own processing. All right? Okay, for those who are new here, who don't know yet, I have a newsletter and a podcast. So the newsletter is sent every month, and I do one monthly newsletter, but there is a lot of information in it, so it's meant to be eaten bit by bit. You want to see something here, you want to see something there, and you want to catch here and there, and so you just discover different resources, different perspective on different topics. The podcast has for now 2 seasons, and so the second season, actually the latest episode is released today. It's an interview around that I got a great interview. The interview, trigger warning, has some content about domestic violence, so trigger warning, if it's something you're not comfortable with, don't listen to that. But the season 2 is ending pretty soon. I think next week is the last episode of season 2. Then I take the break for the summer. I'll be focused on those masterclasses only, and developing other project that I hope I will be able to talk to you soon. So here it is, the podcast, the newsletter, and you can find me on Instagram too. The clarity call, for those who know they want to dive deeper and get working with me regularly and have the deep conversations, you have the clarity call. The clarity call are personalized, individual, and then you can also choose the formula you want. If it's just a 2 hours one, if it's a little longer on 2 months or free, and if it's longer on 4 months. And so you can choose which one fits better for you and for your needs. So the first clarity call starts at $333 for now, and then it goes up the more time you spend. If it's of 2 months, it's more, it's charged more, and if it's 4 months, it's also charged more. So you can check up on the website, all the information are there. All right, I'll see you soon, and in the meantime, take care. Bye.